Hi, this is Susan from Pan American Gem, and today I'd like to demonstrate the technique of stringing beads, and specifically the one of the square knot. So I'll be knotting in between each pearl. So let's begin with the materials. We'll need some cutters, strand of beads. In this case I'm using pearls, GS Hypo Cement. It's also known as Swatch Crystal Glue. String. This is a stringing cord that is, it brings a needle attached, and it has about 2 meters or a little more than 5 feet of string. This is a number 2 string, and it's probably the most versatile size. Some tweezers, just in case we need to remove a knot, a clasp, and a ruler or something to measure your strand width. So the very first thing you want to do is wash your hands, because any little bit of dust that you might have, you can transfer it onto the string, and it really doesn't look as clean and neat as you'd like for it to. So wash hands. Then I'm going to unravel the string from the card that it comes in, and I don't know if you can tell, but the needle is a flexible needle, and it's really helpful in getting the strings to, wiggle through. Sometimes you'll find that the needle frays a little bit at the end, and if that's the case, you can simply cut the tip with a pair of scissors or pliers. So we're gonna cut the end of the string. Now, normally a strand is 16 inches in length. Now I'm working with a short strand so that I can demonstrate to you without it taking so long to do. And what we're going to do is start putting every bead onto the string that has the needle attached. And pretty much that's how it goes. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to a strand that I've already put all the initial beads onto it, so that we can move along a little faster. Okay, so here we are. I have added every one of the beads that I intend to use. In this case, I'm going to make a bracelet length. And I have tied a slip knot to the end of my string and left some string, about 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches of string at the end. So I'll do that. You can see just a simple slip knot. And now I'm going to attach the clasp. So I'm going to find the ring on the clasp. You know what, let me go ahead and show you this type of clasp. This is what's traditionally used for stringing pearls. It's called a fish hook clasp, and the mechanism works in this fashion. And they are safe, pretty easy to use. And like I said, this is a traditional clasp to use for stringing pearls. So we're going to go through the little ring, and now through the bead hole of the first pearl. So just push the needle through and bring the string all the way through. Sometimes it coils up a little bit and you just need to straighten it out. There. It's good to maybe leave a little wiggle room. And the first knot, I'm gonna fold the string over my fingers and bring the needle end through that loop I made and pull through and just pull the knot secure. And we're going to do this again and pretty much all the way through, right until we get to the last couple of beads. And it's probably the trickiest part of the stringing, and I'll show you how to do that. You have got to choose a string size that's appropriate for the bead hole that you're working with. You'll want to test the string before you get right into putting all your beads through. Maybe the first string, make sure that that it can go twice through the bead hole. If you're having trouble with it squeezing through, chances are that you're going to wear away the string, stretch it, fray it, and it's probably a better idea if you use a thinner string instead. So testing it is a good idea before you start and encounter problems. And this goes pretty smoothly all the way through. Now, I'm going to give myself a little more room and slide the slip knot a little lower so I have a little more room to work with. In the event that you get a tangle while you're stringing, you can always use your tweezers. I sometimes help myself with a safety pin to work through and open a hole, a knot that is not, it hasn't fallen into place. Now you want to tighten the knots, but not yank them so hard that they make the strand kink. Now if you do get just a small kink somewhere along the way, you can wait until after you're done with the stringing and finishing the necklace, and so that you can give it a little gentle tug to where the kink is, and hopefully the string will relax around it. Now, we live in Miami, Florida, and stringers in our neighborhood do this. Well, they do this for a living. They do it for jewelry stores. And the going rate here for a standard strand, meaning a strand that brought 16 inches, and size of beads not falling below, say maybe 5 millimeters, that is about $25 here. Now, if the strand has smaller beads, like 4 millimeter, 3 millimeter beads, they bring a whole lot more in one strand. So it's obviously more work, more time consuming, and they charge more for that. And also for longer strands, some people like to wear them really long, and then they tend to charge per inch for smaller beads and for larger ones. But the standard is about $25, and that would be wholesale, right, to jewelers. Now the knotting technique adds value to the strand. Number one, it's for safety. If your strand were to break, you'd only risk losing one bead rather than the whole strand. See, I'm going to give him a little tug there. Rather than having the whole strand come undone and finding all the beads on the floor. Let's see. Tight, yeah. Sometimes you will find that a strand has holes that are uneven. It's not usually the case with pearls, but yes, with gemstones. And in that case, what you would do is, rather than going around once, like I'm doing here, you might want to do it twice. Go around once more and pull it through so that your knot is thicker. Because some beads, you'll find that the string will not go through twice. A thicker string won't go through twice. But since the opening at the ends is larger on the bead itself, the knot tends to hide inside. And that's undesirable. So make little adaptations. Okay, so I am almost at the end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tie the last knot I'm going to make, and that is the third bead closest to the end. So that's the last knot I'm going to make. And now what I'll do is string that third bead through. Okay. So now that he's strung through, what I need to do is, I have the end of the cord on this side and the needle end on this side. What I'm going to do is remove the last two beads, undo that slip knot, remove the last two beads from the end and string them onto the needle end. And this is how we'll finish the strand. So now that they're removed from the needle end, I'm going to attach the other portion of the clasp. And I'm going to go through the ring. And here's the tricky part. You want to keep these beads as close together as possible so that you don't have gaps. So what I'm going to do is go through this first one, get the needle through, and then I'm going to bring them as close as I can. Okay, so I hope I'm still in frame. Here we go. And then let's slide this. And if you find you have, whoa, what happened here? If you have room, you can always make adjustments here. Let me. See, there's still a gap. We still have time to adjust. So there, pull it close. I like to hold these two. I think one more adjustment. Okay, a little wiggle room. So to knot this end, I only have one string, so I'm going to go around my fingers, around the bead, and see how I've made a loop, and behind it is the needle end side. I'm going to pull it, it's a little tangled there, pull it all the way through, and with my nail I'm going to tighten that knot. Now the second one's a little hard to get into, but let's do our best here. It's sometimes here's where I'll use some tweezers to kind of help push it through. That's the needle. Let's do that now. Okay, and here it's coming through the other end. We're almost finished. So now I have the string on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot with the two ends. So here's on one side. Use the Hypo Glue Cement. Comes with a little needle type of end so that it's easier. And I like to squeeze a little bit on the knot and wet the string on either side a little bit. And now I'm gonna flip the strand over so that the knot is not so bulky on one side, and go ahead and knot it once more. Now all we'll have to do now is dab a little more glue, and you do have to wait before you cut the string. I like to wait overnight, and the string, the little ends that we wet, will dry and get a little bit firm, and it'll make it very, very easy to cut and get an even, clean cut. And so what you would do once it's dry, I'm not going to do it now, because if I do it now it might fray. So I would go in and snip very close to the knot on both sides, and that's the finished necklace. I hope you liked the demonstration. If you like to find the materials, you can find them at PanAmericanGem.com.